You've got one shot at life. One kick at the goal. And that's it. So you've got to be very careful about your choices. You've got to grab all the happiness you can get, because one life, one body, one opportunity. I was coming back from the Auckland airport Monday, and I saw a billboard on the road outside the airport. It's been there for a while, but I took more notice of it. It was an advert for whiskey, and the slogan, the mantra, along with the picture of the bottle, said, "As far as we know, there's only one tomorrow. Make it count." Here's the bottle. So think about it. As far as we know, there's only one tomorrow. You've got to grab it for all it's worth. So you feel that pressure, even though you may not be dynamically flourishing, and you're not depressed and burned out, but while you're wallowing and trying to find your footing again, you've got this pressure on you. You've got one life, one body, one opportunity. That's what they tell you. And if you dare to think that there could be something more, people wonder about you. Oh, you're one of those otherworlders, huh? You're not mature enough to accept that before birth there's nothing, and after death there's nothing. Those of us who are acquainted with the Bhakti wisdom text, the ancient yoga text, we have more than enough reason and more than enough experience to understand how this notion of one life, one body, one opportunity has destroyed the fabric of human society. The full gift of the yoga knowledge and yoga system begins with understanding you have life after life, and you get a body according to your desires in your previous life. And the human body is especially an opportunity, especially a gift, because it brings with it advanced consciousness, so that you can understand and experience that you have a non-material identity. So how much do we really care, though, about identity? It's a big thing in the prime Bhakti Yoga text, Bhagavad Gita, which I hope many of you have read or will read. In Bhagavad Gita, you'll be taking your wisdom straight from Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita presents Krishna as the ultimate source of all knowledge, of all pleasure, of all energies. So you might consider it advantageous to take knowledge from Krishna. But until you understand who is Krishna, you may have some reluctance. Something will tell you, due to your social conditioning, something will tell you in the back of your head, no one has perfect knowledge. You know that perfectly, right? No one knows. You know that, huh? Those who understand this trap of logic, just throw their hands up in the air and say, anyway, what's the use in trying to figure all this out? You just gotta try to please your senses as best you can. But those who are willing to dance to the music of reality They want to understand identity. So Bhagavad Gita, the prime Bhakti Yoga text, teaches you to deal with the issue of, are you the body, are you the mind, or are you something beyond the body and mind? And this issue is so central to your happiness quest. Some people say, happiness is not a comforting journey. Happiness is an endless journey. And you don't know what the destination is. But one thing you do know is there's not one answer. That one thing you do know, that there's not one answer. That one answer you do know, that there's not one answer. You just see how we're so predisposed to nothingness, vagueness, indefinitiveness. Sometimes people say that when you're young, you're looking for certainty. But as you mature and get older, you realize that there are no answers to the main questions of life. So you should get used to operating in a universe that's indifferent. In other words, you're not living in a universe that's cruel, it just doesn't care. And once you accept that fact, you're told that this is a fact, the next step is just to carry your own light, make your own light in the unlimited darkness. That's your life. We are told. So all these speculations are based on the supposition that there can't be perfect knowledge and no one can have perfect knowledge. Therefore, you might as well get used to uncertainty and just go with it. You came into being out of nothingness, and you'll go out of being into nothingness. So why worry about what happens in between? What do you think? Does that satisfy you? Of course not. But people say that when you think about it, there's nothing else. That's all that's happening. So this is why the ancient wisdom of bhakti is so important. It deals immediately with identity. As I travel around the world, I can see that in the workplace, especially in the corporate workplace, or even in small businesses, is happening. There's a new push, new slogans, especially put forward by the HR, the human resources people, that you should bring your whole self to work. I guess it's just about to hit New Zealand. Last copy with a South Pole. Bring your whole self to work. Show up fully at work with your idiosyncrasies, with your eccentricities, even with your fears. Bring it all to the workplace. And that way you'll be more productive. That's the whole point, of course. To be a better peon in the capitalistic system. Show up fully. Not that you just go to work, keep your head down, and then wait till you leave work for when you can unfurl your personality and be yourself. No, bring your full self to work. Show up fully at work. And so employers should devise the workplace so you can do that. And in this way you'll be happy, and you'll be more productive. You'll make more money for the boss. And more money for the boss automatically means more money for you. It will trickle down to you. That's a big thing in the land of my birth. the USA, land of the free and home of nuclear weapons. So what are we going to do with ourselves? This is the question. Should we be concerned with our identity? So we were speaking about the yoga texts and their focus on identity, especially in regard to, are you matter or are you non-material? Because grappling with that point will define your striving in life. If you think you're matter, then you should try to be happy materially and see where it leads you. If you understand that you're non-material, as Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita from the very beginning, then you know that no matter what amount of material happiness is presented to you, it's not going to satisfy you. If a fish is out of water, you can give the fish so many things, but the fish needs to be able to breathe its way. It needs to go back in the water so it can get oxygen from the water. No matter what you bring to the fish, it's not going to help. The fish is out of its environment. So the essential point of Bhakti Yoga texts like Bhagavad Gita is that we are spiritual entities having a human experience. We are not human entities having a spiritual experience. So let's not put the cart before the horse. We're spiritual entities having a human material experience. It just so happens that the human material experience gives you the advanced consciousness to get to the bottom of the riddle, get to the bottom of the mystery. So we want to deal with our identity. And then you have to come to grips with the fact that you live in a society that does everything to distract you from dealing with yourself in terms of your identity. In fact, you're awarded so many masks, so many false identities. And sometimes you wonder, how will I ever figure out my real self? I pull off one mask, and there's another one underneath it. Pull that one off, there's another mask underneath it. When does it end? And then you just throw your hands up in the air and say, who cares anyway about being artificial? Everyone's artificial, so you must just go with it, you know? Many of you have heard me point out that the artificiality is so deeply layered that if someone presents themselves to you, if someone dares to look you in the eye and say, I'm for real, you get scared. Don't say that. You don't have to be for real now. Believe me. I don't mind if you fake it. I'm faking it. You're faking it. The world's faking it. Let's just get it on in that way. It's all pretense. It's all a game. Just see how we've been bought off. We've settled for such a low level of unreality. It's not even a high level of unreality. It's a low level of unreality because we're always fighting with each other, quarreling in a hot way or a mild way. So we have a serious identity problem. And we need to analyze what's holding us back from dealing with our non-material identity. Just like when the clouds cover the sun, which happens here a lot, especially lately. What's blocking the sunlight? So similarly, in your life, what is blocking your full expression? What's blocking your journey of self-discovery? Actually, this is all explained very scientifically and authoritatively in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains that the Supreme Ultimate Source has many energies. And one of those energies is the energy of illusion, labeled in Sanskrit as Maya. In Sanskrit, Maya literally means that which is not. So Krishna describes that there's an energy of illusion, just like there is reality emanating from the ultimate source, there's also illusion. The sun, you could say, has various energies. It causes clouds, it causes fog, it causes snow, it causes clouds and rainbows, and these are all direct or indirect expressions of the sun, you might say. So similarly, Krishna has multiple energies. Spiritual energies, material energies, and particularly Krishna has an energy of illusion that's bewildering, so much so that you can experience time after time the same lesson in life and you never learn. You ever wondered about that? Why am I doing this? I already did this before. I've already been a failure doing this. I've already tried this and it didn't satisfy me, but here I go again. I've gone through the intoxication, herbal and whatever, powders and this and that, and I've tried alcohol, I've tried it all, relationship juggling. Yeah, I played that game. Here's a relationship, there's a relationship, you juggle them. This one doesn't work, well, meanwhile I'm juggling another, that may work. Or maybe the sum total of my relationships that I'm juggling will bring some glimmer of satisfaction. Because as people are finding out these days, one relationship won't do it for you. At least it won't last very long. So then you think, aha, best to just have many pots on the stove. And you jump from one pot to the other, you know? Keep them all on the stove. So that's the current way of going about relationship dissatisfaction. It used to be, I remember when I first came to New Zealand in 1993, the emphasis was on, if you're not happy with your partner, just ditch him or her. That was considered new consciousness. I remember walking on Queen Street and seeing ladies with t-shirts on, and on the t-shirt were the words, ditch him. It was the latest fashion, you know? And then I remember across the ditch in Australia, the slogan back in the 90s was, and when you leave him, don't get angry, get everything. So that was back in the 90s. Now it's like, what do you expect? One person is never going to satisfy you. You've got to have many pots on the stove, and you jump back and forth from one pot to the other, and that's life. But you see, human beings are becoming more and more frustrated and bitter with all this so-called openness in relationships. Because whether they have one relationship or multiple relationships, they don't know what to do with themselves. So the ignorance, the illusion just multiplies. Instead of the illusion with just one person, now you've got the illusion with many persons. It's still illusion. So what is at the bottom of all this illusion? This is explained right at the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita by Krishna, that due to the effect of the illusory energy emanating from the ultimate source, we think we are the body and mind. And therefore we're locked into a foolish struggle to generate happiness for our body and mind, which we are not. So how are we ever going to grasp this essential point? When you hear it, I know, you start thinking, could be something to this. Yeah, I mean, I always knew I was kind of spiritual, but I guess at the base of my thoughts, I was thinking I'm matter having a spiritual interest. But now I'm finding out, now I'm hearing that I'm not material, I'm spiritual, but I'm immersed to varying degrees in a material experience. And that is the cause of my problems. So this phase we're in now, the languishing or the blahs, is a good phase for dealing with ultimate identity questions. And with sympathy, we see that the more society runs away from this, the more the instability increases. Just like in the USA last week, a blue ribbon panel of experts recommended that any adult under the age of 65 should have a checkup for anxiety disorder. Because, especially since COVID, the mental unhealth has soared. And then another blue ribbon panel of experts said, any young person between the ages of 14 and 24 should have a checkup for depression. Any. Whether you show the symptoms or not, you should have a checkup. Just like you go to the dentist for a checkup, you go to the doctor for a physical, similar routine thing. Be checked out for depression or anxiety disorder. This is the kind of society that we think is so meritorious. And of course, the statistics in New Zealand are showing the same problems. Where do we turn for a solution? Especially when you're told no one knows the answers. That you can be sure of, that no one is sure of anything. It seems like we're just wallowing in this self-inflicted ignorance that we deny that there can be any higher wisdom. So this is what makes Bhagavad Gita, this is what makes reading it so provocative. For the first time, you are face to face with knowledge that says it comes from a perfect source and then gives you the laboratory processes for verifying that assertion, that declaration. So this is challenging. It's one thing if someone says, here is knowledge from the ultimate source, perfect knowledge. Take it at that. And of course, you would just be turned off by that. Well, do you think I am a true believer? Oh, I used to watch the X-Files. Sorry, life goes on. I used to watch the X-Files. The truth is out there, someone. Doubt everyone, doubt everything. So when you are presented with what Bhagavad Gita presents, In Sanskrit, the term is Raja Vidya, the king of knowledge, the most secret of all secrets. The perfection of Dharma. Why? Because it gives processes for verifying, for verification. This is what is so challenging. And this is why so many of you are seriously considering the ancient bhakti wisdom. If it was just take it on faith, just believe, you wouldn't go for that. You've heard that before. All you have to do is believe, and then everything just happens. No, you want verification of what is your identity, how you're different from the body and mind, how you're an energy emanating from the Supreme. Yes, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you're an energy emanating from Krishna. How do you verify all that? By just saying, just believe it. Have faith. How many of you here are going to be true believers when you walk out the door? Oh, God. Where's the food they serve at this place? That's what I came here for. But we're not at all interested in making you true believers. We're interested in your becoming true practitioners, true experiencers. And that is the Bhakti Yoga Challenge, which begins with verifying that you're different from your body and mind, different from your physiology and psychology. That's the entry. There's much higher things, but the entry level experience is to know that you're not matter. And therefore your quest for happiness will change dramatically. You'll be able to live a simpler life. You won't be a prisoner in a consumer society. You won't any longer be a slave of your senses. You won't be a faithful servant of lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, and illusion. We've been such faithful servants of that, haven't we? I feel lusty. Well, you just got to surrender to it. I'm angry. Well, the more you express your anger, the more healthy it is. I don't know how it goes. I'm jealous, I'm envious of that person, that one. That's okay. Expressing your emotions, no matter what you feel, is so important. So those taking up the Bhakti Yoga experience can indeed experience that they're becoming master of their senses instead of slave of the senses. And many of you know how futile it is, how deadening it is, how boring it is to be a slave of your senses. The experiences promise so much, don't they? This time is going to be different. This time is going to be better. And for all that hype and mirage, we work so hard. And as I've often explained here, according to the ancient Bhakti Yoga text, work doesn't simply mean a job where you're salaried or a business, your own business. Work means anytime your mind and senses endeavor for anything, that's work, salaried or not. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita explains that you can't refrain from work. You can't shut down your mind and senses even for a moment. Therefore, why not learn how to use them in the perfect way for the pleasure of the Supreme? That is real yoga. That's the complete yoga system. Not to just shut down your mind and senses, which is impossible, but to use your mind and senses to become saturated with the ultimate reality. This is what makes the Bhakti Yoga system the king of knowledge, the secret of all secrets. Not that you deny your senses, but you use them in the best way. But with low-level knowledge, which is another way of saying with our present state of ignorance, we think the senses are only meant for gross stimuli, or at best subtle stimuli. But in any case, whether gross or subtle, we want the entertainment, we want the stimulation. And then we get frustrated. This wasn't worth it. Whatever thrill was supposed to be there faded so quickly, in a moment, like a shooting star. I give up. I'm not doing anything with my mind and senses. I'll go on a 10-day silent retreat and just shut down. How long does that last for? What to do with your mind and senses is the ongoing issue for those who want to get out of the grip of illusion. Do you deny the constant activity of your mind and senses, or do you learn through the Bhakti Yoga wisdom how to use your mind and senses perfectly in harmony with the ultimate source of the senses? So this is the kind of education that Krishna is giving in Bhagavad Gita. And I must say, in my travels throughout the world, even in remote places like Mongolia, I've seen that people adore Bhagavad Gita from the literary point of view. It reads so fascinatingly. But practice it, there's a barrier. Because Bhagavad Gita presents you with the necessity of lifestyle change. And we don't want anyone altering our life. That's why people just settle for belief. I believe this, you believe that, but the lifestyles are all the same. Whereas the Bhakti Yoga wisdom pinpoints your lifestyle and says your lifestyle is showing your beliefs. If you're pursuing material happiness with your lifestyle, it means you believe you're the body and mind. So it's fascinating. And yes, many persons who put the ancient Bhakti Yoga wisdom in action report that their lifestyle changes. We see it happening here all the time. It's not that your belief system changes. I went to the loft one Sunday and I came out a believer. No. We hope you come out as an experiencer. And that's a big difference. An experiencer whose experiences are based upon knowledge and verified by knowledge. So we proudly and happily say that yes, we're presenting knowledge from a perfect source. Now it's up to you to disprove that. How do you do that? Easy. Apply the knowledge and see where it takes you. Some years ago we had a couple coming here who had been together since their teenage years. And when they started coming here, by that time they were in their early 20s. And so the young man, he really took to the Bhakti Yoga wisdom and practice. But his partner, she wasn't too keen on it at all. And so they had been together for 5 years or so, since teenage years. And as always, they were having their battles. And one day they had a huge blow up. And the young lady had a bright idea, because she saw her partner was really getting into the Bhagavad Gita, getting into the Bhakti Yoga practice, the mantra meditation, and she knew this is all just baloney. In fact, he doesn't even eat bologna anymore. So what happened? They had a huge fight one day, and they were just about to call it quits. And so she had a great idea. You know what that was? She said, all right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to read this book, and I'm going to do some of that mantra meditation, and I'll show you it's all just nonsense. She was totally convinced this is the way to resolve the strain in our relationship. I'll read the book, I'll do some mantra meditation, and we all know it's just a bunch of hot air, because no one has any perfect knowledge. And so she said, I'll do it for a month, but that will shut you up, won't it? And then we can go back to our normal passions. He did it for a month, and hey, there's something to this. And she got deeper into it and deeper into it. And she never looked back. And that was 25 years ago. Now they're in their late 40s and they're still going strong with their bhakti lifestyle and their relationship. So yes, that was a smart thing she did. I'll try it out. I'll see if I can verify all this stuff. I know it's just religious belief, it's just faith. Talk about spiritual stuff. So you should have that kind of adventurous spirit, that enterprising spirit. And it's the best way to get over the blahs, the languishing state, the wallowing state, treading water. It's the best way to push ahead with your real identity. So we just wanted to lay out a few points for you to consider tonight. Maybe someone may have a question or two? Yes.
Hi.
Greetings.
So we all come from, or that implies a past, but are presently emanating from the non-material, the non-dual.
Okay.
So do we agree as like a basis that I'm understanding this correctly?
Sort of.
Okay.
You're doing okay.
And so we are manifest into here, into this dualistic world. Otherwise, I wouldn't be communicating with you in this way.
Exactly.
Right. And so what is the part that sort of denies the materiality or pushes it away? Why is that necessary? Why not use it and cohesively in the same way that we have both of these sides. We come from the same.
Yes. Since everything is the energy of the Supreme, just like the sun gives off light and heat and causes fog and clouds and snow and so forth, so why not use the material for the pleasure of the ultimate source? That is bhakti. So yes, you are recognizing that everything, as the yogis would say, using Sanskrit terminology, everything is Brahman. But you have to go further than that. This is just the beginning what you presented. What is the pleasure of the Supreme Source, the Supreme Brahman? And how do you use everything for the pleasure of that ultimate source? You would agree you're not the proprietor of everything, right?
Well, yes.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I would have to call the police on you. the last time someone came here and said, well, everything is one, it's just absolutely non-dual. So we asked, well, can you please leave your wallet here? No. Wait a minute, it's all oneness. We were joking, of course, but you got the point. So there, as Bhagavad Gita will teach you, there's the ultimate source and the energies that emanate from the ultimate source. Just like heat and light are different energies, but they're the same in that they come from the same source. So we have to learn how to use all those energies in harmony with the purpose of the ultimate source. Anything else? Yes. Greetings.
I was wondering what advice you have for someone who's having trouble trusting. Would you agree that trust takes time, or is it like a choice?
Do I have advice for someone who's
Having trouble trusting.
trusting? I would say that you're intelligent not to trust ordinarily. If you want to trust, you have to know what is a trustworthy person. And as long as you're dealing with someone who thinks he or she is the body or the mind, how can you trust that person? Just like someone can look at you and say, oh, you're so good looking, you talk so sweetly, and they express their love to you. Oh, you say, no, but you like it. But how can you trust that person if that person simply thinks you're the body and mind? Exactly. So you have to apply that across the board. Wait, hold on. I'm glad you're eager, but hold on. So you've raised a very good point. So doubting is not a bad thing until you're presented with authorized, authentic knowledge. It's good to doubt. Doubting is a sign of intelligence.
You must be very intelligent.
You don't doubt that, do you? So I can appreciate your having a problem trusting others. Because when you think you're the body and mind, you have to act in a way of illusion. You have to act in a way that is exploiting. Someone will look at you and say, here's a nice chunk of body and mind. What can that do for me? What can that do for my happiness? Because I think I'm the body and mind. So you're right. How can you trust such persons? Congratulations. You've come to the right place. Yes.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, what about them trusting yourself and like in the world?
What about trusting yourself? Well, who is that self? What is that self? That you have to first deal with. And that's why Bhagavad Gita is so crucial in its education. It deals with identity right at the very beginning and shows you how your problems in life come from misidentifying the self with the body and mind, with your physiology and psychology. That's the beginning of liberation. It's not the end, but it's the beginning. So remember, the ultimate source, Krishna, has many energies, and one of them is illusion. And this is why we can proceed in life without caring who we are, what happened before birth, what happens after death. We can proceed merrily and also with agony and not give a thought to anything else because of this energy of illusion, just like the clouds cover the sun. And we can say, an ignorant person will say, there's no sun. See, they're just clouds. It's always been like that. There's no sun. Do you see any sun? I don't see any sun. So this is what the energy of illusion does to us. It causes us to waste our whole life. Now you might say, and that's a deeper topic, I don't know if we'll get into it today. Why is there an energy of illusion? Why are there clouds? Why can't it just be the sun? Well, do you want me to briefly answer that? Krishna, the ultimate source, is fulfilling your desire to be unholistic. You want to deny that energy has an energetic source. You want to deny that the sunlight comes from the sun, so therefore the clouds are for you, because you want to pursue a life of illusion. And there can't be ultimate love between you and the complete whole, between you and Krishna, unless there's choice. So material existence is the matrix for those who want to pretend that they are disconnected from the ultimate source. That was a bit of a mouthful, I know. But you want to know more? I recommend you start with Bhagavad Gita as your beginning, and then you can go deeper. All right. Yes, we're having great questions tonight. Yes. We'll get to you.
You mentioned three M's, like three drives of joy, kind of like mastery and material.
Oh, the three M's
Yeah.
of flourishing, material flourishing.
Oh, material.
Definitely, let's get that straight. Material flourishing. What did I say? Meaning, your life, you feel that your life is full of meaning. For the moment, anyway. That's the fourth M, it's momentary. So, meaning and mastery. You're in the driver's seat. And you matter to others. And you feel so good. So all those three M's are subject to the fourth M. It's all momentary. But you don't care. If you just had a moment, that's good enough, right? A moment in the sun. We'll struggle so much with our mind and senses just for a moment of imaginary happiness, because it's taking place in the mind. You've already had experience that one thing or person on one day can make you happy, and the same thing and the same person on another day can make you miserable, right? If you're in the middle of the summer and you put on a winter coat, you'll feel miserable. But in the wintertime, midwinter, you put on a winter coat, you think you're feeling good. It's the same coat and the same putting on of the coat, but according to the external environment, you feel miserable or happy by putting the coat on. And it could be that way it is that way with another person also. The same person. One day brings you delight, the next day brings you agony. You've had that? No. Yeah. He's shaking his head vigorously, in case you didn't see. You would think a nice, strong, handsome man like you would have no problems. But the way the world is, it's problematic for everyone, because they're struggling with their mind and senses the wrong way. They don't know. True mystic yoga, bhakti is true mystic yoga in that it teaches you how to use your mind and senses for the pleasure of the Supreme, the ultimate goal of the yoga system. Rather than deny the active nature of your mind and senses. Many people are satisfied, they think, to pursue that. I'm going to learn how to shut down my mind and be totally inactive with my senses. Good luck. I'm going to be mindful. And so I've explained on many Sundays here. The mindfulness craze. you can find books about mindful everything, right? Mindful baking, mindful showering. Next, you'll see books on mindful burglaring. Just be mindful of it. It's a big, multi-billion-dollar industry. And people think that is going to improve their life. That they're being mindful of the material activities that they're doing. Whereas Bhagavad Gita is teaching you to be mindful about your ultimate connection, how to use your mind and senses for the pleasure of the source of the mind and senses. So there's no question of denying the dynamics of your mind and senses. It's a question of purifying them so that they reveal the ultimate reality, so that they reveal Krishna, the unlimitedly attractive ultimate reality. Yes?
Could you please tell us, how to live life to its fullest? And
Oh, that's what I've been talking about for I didn't say exactly like that. I'm going to tell you how to live your life to the fullest. I didn't exactly go about it that way. You don't do like that in New Zealand,
But because tomorrow is Monday and we're going to start our work and we're going to get back into a mechanical form of life. We know what we need to do. But how to be fully aware, how to be fully conscious of to live life?
Very good. You come here regularly and we'll teach you the Krishna mantra meditation. We'll walk you through Bhagavad Gita and show you how you can practice lifestyle engineering so that your lifestyle is a portal for non-material experience. This is just an introductory talk. I'm just here to provoke and poke you a bit. You want more? Very good. I'm glad. All right. I thank you very much for all your attention. It's great to see you all. Have a wonderful dinner. Thank you so much.
So I hope you all enjoyed that. I did. And what we may definitely be interested in, Devamrita Swami will be back in a couple of weeks. So stay posted on our Facebook page and other, and you can find information outside. Also, this Wednesday, because I know when I first came to a Sunday, I got a whole download of somebody who here I had one thing that really resonated with them from the talk. Raise your hand, something that like, oh, that was. And then what you're going to think, well, how am I going to put that in my life? How can I understand that better? I'm just thinking that. That's why on Wednesdays we have an intimate workshop here with Dina, and this week we'll be with Dina Diella. She's a senior student of Devamrita Swami, and she'll be doing a workshop. So come on Wednesdays, it is Wednesday 6 p.m, and you can go deeper and have those questions answered and get a bit more detail into how to apply things, etc. So Sundays are more whetting your appetite. So Wednesdays are key 6 p.m. We also have a Halloween party coming up, just dropping that into your subconscious mind in 2 weeks. So Wednesday, week, something like that. 4 weeks. Sorry, go wrong with that. Halloween party here is in 2 weeks, and Devamrita Swami back. We'll be back in 4 weeks. Awesome. So just before we have this amazing feast, we're going to do a bit more reggae dancing and chanting. So you can try out this mantra meditation. So stand up, put your cushions to the side, and then come forward.
Okay, just come forward. So we've got a bit of competition tonight. Because it's a bit of a reggae vibes.